HBCU running back play was just at a different level in 2022. Jada Byers, Bashul Tootin, record-breaking performances. But Gerald Huggins believes in this class so much that he thinks 2024 will be even better than that. Oh yeah, it's Locked On HBCU. Play my music.
You are Locked On HBCU, your daily podcast covering HBCU sports. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On HBCU podcast, your number one daily one-stop shop for everything HBCU athletics, Monday through Friday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I, of course, am Darian Gray, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, Texas Southern alum and former TSU Herald Sports editor and current contributing writer at USA Today's Saints Wire. Thank you for going on this journey with me. Make a Locked On HBCU your first listen of the day, every day. And remember, just because the mic cuts off does not mean that the journey is over. It just means it's time to follow me on Twitter at South Exclusives. Starts with an S and ends with an S. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more when you go to FanDuel.com/locked on. And as playoffs wind down, it's actually over now. Stanley Cup's over. All you have is the MLB season and the WNBA season. Sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. Go to FanDuel.com/locked on to make every moment more. Now, Gerald Huggins joins the show, and we break down quarterback play, going a little bit of a tangent with that. Clearly, we're going to have to come back to that on another episode. I don't know when, but we're going to have to get back to our last conversation in a more expanded format. Prior to that, we'll be looking at the linebacker, specifically who is LB1. And the running back play in 2024 is something that Jarrett Huggins believes in so much that he believes that it'll be better than 2022. Of course, I got my boy G here with me. We're going into football season early-ish, right around time. This is about the time that I feel like we should start honing in on football, to be honest, as long as we have things to talk about. And I want to talk about some positions. First off, we're going to kick it off with the running back position. Do you believe that we'll see better running back play in 2024 than we did in 2022? Because to me, 2022 is a pretty high bar to jump over.
Yeah. I mean, this class is loaded, man. I mean, we got Elijah Burris, we got Jarrett Hunter, Marquise Gillis, Donovan Eaglin, Kelvin Dean, Irv Mulligan, Kenji Christian, Jaquez Yant, Jada Byers. I mean, this is loaded. This is probably the best running back class I've scouted. And be honest with you, we could throw Eden James in there, even though technically he's draft eligible after this year because he'll be a junior, but he's probably not going to leave. And same thing goes for Jamari Taylor. Taylor, he's draft eligible, quote unquote, but he's not coming out. Those are two very good running backs. Those are guys that you could say can argue for being RB1, depending on how you view their game. So I'm having fun with it. I never thought I'd say the running back room would be our top. It's always, for the most part, it's been our DBs, our O-line, our defensive line. But the running backs have a case for the best position group of HBCU football prospect-wise.
Now, I'm going to push you on what I asked you the first time, right? I'm going to bring up some of the stuff that happened in 2022. Because, like I said, I think it's a super high bar. You had Bashul Tootin at A&T, ran for 10 straight 100-yard games. You had Jada Byers. That was his 2,000-yard season as far as total yardage. But really, it was like 1960 or something like that in the rushing department. So it was nearly a 2,000-yard season strictly on the ground. You had Jarvion Howard, who burst onto the scene that year. You had Alfonso Graham from Morgan State that year. You had Huggins. You had Emmanuel Wilson in the draft. So I'll just ask again. You don't have to elaborate, but you think that this year will end up being better than that 2022 year?
Yeah, this is the best group of running backs I've scouted, like as a whole. Okay. Like Wesley Graves, Eden James, Kenji Christensen. I mean, it's a long, the list is long. I'm just looking at my database right now. Burris, Hunters, and Gillis, Eaglin, Dean, Taylor, Mulligan, Christian, Yant, Byers, like Eden James, like I said before, and
I'm
Yes.
looking at what you got. Okay, so you sent me. I don't know if you remember this, but you texted me some running back rankings. Now I don't know if they're solidified. So if they're not, I won't reference them.
Nah, they're not solidified. I'm almost done. I'm almost done with everybody's film. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 left, but I have a few. I have most of them. But I will say just from now, most of the so sometimes when I didn't watch these kids' games multiple times. I just didn't write
Right.
it down. So I already have like the mental notes in my head of what I want to say, but then I just go back to watch the film for a refresher. So pretty much I just got to do my refresher and actually do the report. But I believe right now, I mean the rankings are the rate. I mean, no, it's gonna be tough. So I ain't gonna do
Okay.
that right now.
Okay. Whenever we get a solidified, could I have some stuff? But things could change. Folks, they hear the first thing you say, and it's what you said is what you mean
Yeah.
forever. So I'm gonna let you take
But the
some time.
obvious ones will be at the top. I mean,
Okay.
I'll say it. It's
Let's
not
talk
gonna
about
be
them.
any. Mhm.
Let's talk about him. Okay,
Okay.
so Jarrett Hunter is high on the list. What
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say his exact number, but he's
yeah,
high on the list, right?
yeah. He's
He
high.
also shares a backfield with Eden James. Now,
Yeah.
Ian Wheeler, who had the least amount of carries of the three last year anyway, is
Mhm,
out of that mix.
mhm.
What do you think the workload will look like between James and Hunter? 50-50, 60-40?
Oh man, I mean, believe it or not, Eden James is very powerful. I don't think people
Mhm,
give him credit for how powerful he is. Even as a freshman, he went up against Alabama State, and he was running. He was running through them boys, and big, strong Bama boys. I was enjoying watching Eden play as freshman. And last year, it's a committee thing, similar like FAMU. Like
mhm,
FAMU rotate 3, 4 running backs in a game in a quarter if you let them, and they just. But the difference is stylistically, those guys are just big. I think the smallest running back that got a lot of carries was Dean. He was 200, but they're Yant and Jennings. Those boys about 250. They said 230. I'm like, okay, whatever. I saw them in person. Yeah, they 230. But it's just I would say with Howard, they're gonna have to lean on them more because they're getting a new quarter. They have a new quarterback. They try to just figure that out. I don't even know what's going to happen quarterback play there from there. So we're just going to have to see how that goes. But I will say I would like for it to be 50-50, but I think they should lean on Eden and because Jarrett was a little banged up towards the end, man. You need Jarrett for that stretch because he could just what he did against Morgan and Central. And people, in the MEAC, those are like the two best linebacking cores, probably the two best defenses. He made them look like they couldn't tackle, man.
mhm.
It's hard to make that happen. So it was just like, whew. Even when you watch him go against the group of 5 opponents and out of conference, man, he's just his vision, his balance, man, his quickness laterally. He rounded Jalen Warren from the Steelers.
Mhm.
That's probably the best comp I could get for him, man. He's that ability to catch with soft hands, be able to run routes. I mean, he doesn't really line up in the slot too often. That's probably not his game. If you ask him to, I'm sure he will. But out the backfield, there's not many linebackers don't be able to cover that man on angle routes, option routes. So, and he has he has underrated lower body strength. It's not like Eden. I don't think he's like the finisher at the end of his runs like Eden is, but
Mhm.
Jarrett will run you over if you let him. That might not be his game per se, but you go ahead and not try and wrap him up. He'll make you look silly now.
Now, one guy that you and I have talked about before, I feel like we've been talking about this guy for a while. That's the funny thing because I compare this to 2022,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of these backs were here in 2022 and they actually performed well. Like Eaglin, James was an all MEAC player that year. This guy I'm about to mention right now had one of the bigger years in Jada Byers. So it's a lot of overlap in players. It's about performance, but
And I coached against
Jada
Jada.
Byers.
So yeah, I mean,
What does Byers need to do to boost his draft stock? We know what's working against him, right? Size. We,
yeah.
we we know those things. A heavy workload in college. We don't need to address those.
Mm-hmm.
But what does he need to show in 2024 to improve his draft stock to NFL teams?
Elite special teams returner, and he has to be able to show that he could pass block consistently against people that are going to be 100 pounds, probably more than him. Maybe not 100 pounds. It might be a stretch. 250 pounds more. I think he's about 180. I'm not even sure how big Jade is anymore. He might be pushing 190 maybe, but he might be, I think he plays around 170, 180. He's about 5'8". It's just usually just off the, I mean, those guys are just not, they're usually not great pass pass protectors because they're just small.
Right.
You got guys that's 230 pounds coming from 7 yards away, and they running right into your chest.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean Union, but we all know Union. I'm a Union grad. We're not a throwing school. That's not our thing. I mean, we had our little stretches. Don't get me wrong. Like when I was there, we had stretches. With Coach Morgan, who's now the head coach at Edward Waters. I mean, he wanted to throw that thing around, but Union, we are a power. We're gonna run power on 3rd and 20. We're gonna run power on 4th and 10. Once we get our 10 yards on 3rd and 20. So that's what we are. So Jada might not get as many opportunities to show he'll be able to pass block, but he needs to showcase that pass block. And if he becomes an elite returner, as in like put him on punt and kick returner, he shows that like, listen, definitely the way the NFL is going now, they'll get a little smaller guy, outside, outside of the FCS or outside of Power 4. They listen, if you can make it work in the kick return, punt return game, he should be fine. I'm honestly not sure about his long speed, but his lateral quickness is probably going to be up there with anybody else in the world. But I'm not sure about the long speed. I'm not sure if he's going to hit 4.3. Just not sure.
Okay.
I mean, I'll see. I want to be proven wrong for sure for his sake, and but I just don't see that long speed. But that laterally, oh boy, it's elite lateral quickness for sure.
Now we talked about the running backs that Jarrett Hunter, or excuse me, the linebackers that Jarrett Hunter went against in Morgan in Central. One of those men is Erik Hunter. We'll be speaking about him and the other linebackers in HBCU football as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors, and eBay Motors is the place to make sure that your ride or die continues to ride and don't die. It's just that simple. It's just that simple because your car takes care of you, helps you get from point A to point B, but you want to get from point A to point B not only comfortably, but then also in style. That's what eBay Motors is good for you. Now, all you have to do is put your car into the My Garage section. Doesn't matter if it's a 2009 Ford Explorer. Doesn't matter if it's a 1972 Cadillac, right? Like, excuse me, you have parts. I thought I had to sneeze, but you have the parts that you need on eBay Motors. They have over 120 million parts. It's just on you to go ahead and do it or go ahead and grab them. All you have to do is put your car into the My Garage section and you'll be able to find one of those parts that fits for your car guaranteed. And if it doesn't, you will get your money back. But trust me, it's gonna fit. You ain't got to worry about all of that. So go to ebaymotors.com. That is ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. As we continue rolling on today's episode of Locked On HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day every day. For your second listen, make sure you're checking out Locked On Sports Today. It's the first of its kind, 24/7, all day, every day. Sports network on YouTube that is live. So check it out now. Check it out after. Doesn't matter. It'll be something new for you to see. I still got Gerald Huggins here with me. All right. We've talked about running backs. I know you're surprised, but I feel like we're kind of on the same page with how much that we like the linebacker position just in football, maybe not HBCU football in general, but linebackers in football. Mm-hmm. I seen you highlight 2 linebackers on your Twitter. Mm-hmm. Jacob Williams out of Texas Southern, Erik Hunter out of Morgan State. Are these your 2 top linebackers in the class? Are they warring for number 1? What is your? I feel like Hunter is your 1 because of how we spoke about him. But fact that you've highlighted him and Williams, are those 2 guys going at it for LB1?
Yeah, and I actually just wrapped up a guy that I'll be fighting. Another guy should be fighting for RB1, Terrance Hollon from Howard University. Mm-hmm. And I also heard some good things about Rico Dozier, who's at Alabama State right now. So
okay, good.
I'm going to do his report as well. But, I mean, Hollon, Hunter, and Williams, those are at the film so far, those are my top 3. And it's a little bit of separation there, man. I just think Hollon is just such a good tackler. God. I just love when guys, I think it's missed tackle rate was like 7%. So, I mean, he's a very good tackler along the perimeter and within the confines. He maneuvers well. Now, my thing with Hollon just has to do better when they're going against offensive linemen, being able to disengage, being able to get some knockback and create separation from offensive linemen. Because at times he get caught up in the wash and they may wash him out or they'll be able to seal him. He has to just do it better with, his pursuit efficiency when it comes to that. And just being able to just be a little more physical. But he is 220 pounds, but he is 6 foot, about 6'1", so he does have good height. The weight they'll put on. Howard was never known for big big defenders anyway. So let alone have a big linebacker. I mean, that's just not their style. They're more, listen, we want athletes. We want guys that may not be the prototypical size, but they can move, they do a lot of movement. They play man, So they have to get guys that can run. He can run. That's why I'm in between if he's going to be a Mike in a Mike in the odd front or a Jack, more of a Jack backer. But see, a Jack is faster, which he is, but they're more of like the physical guy, the reckless, abandoned guy. Now, when I tell you this guy has freedom, when he could just move freely, and that other backer takes on that offensive lineman, he could just move and maneuver through the line of scrimmage. Oh my God, man. He made a play versus FAMU on a post probably today or tomorrow. Man, he was just clean. He looked like a running back. So like he looks like a running back when he's pursuing a running back in the zone scheme and in between the tackles. And then Jacob Williams, man, oh boy, if he's just a little light, but man, that boy can play. Oh, he's been my favorite. I put him as he was in my All-American list for one of my publications I wrote for. I like his game. Now he's the opposite of Hollon. Jacob got something so many tackles, but he's in very inopportune situation. And at the end of the day, he's a little light, So I give him what he's able to do. And I don't think he came in as a linebacker. I'm not sure. I gotta look it up, but I believe he came in as a DB. But ultimately, I believe he will be a really good, nickel next level. That's probably what he's gonna have to play. Nickel. He's about 6 foot, about 210. Ideally, that's what you want, that Will Backer kind of nickel, big safety prototype to look like anyway. He could play in coverage. Kid is fast. He's going to test well. I can't wait to see how he tests. I think he's going to test very well. Lateral quickness, linear speed, acceleration, burst. Now, he will throw all 210 pounds of his body into offensive lineman. He does not care. Reckless. I love it, though. So with him, he could cover running backs off the backfield just due to his athleticism. He has a lateral agility to be able to cover shallow zones. If you ask him to drop into cover 2 and cover the deep middle of the field. Deep middle of the field. I believe he could do that. He has the ability to redirect in the seams and stuff like that. So I like Jacob Williams. He's like one of my favorites. So my favorites are always the best player, quote unquote.
Right.
Player I love watching. I love watching Jacob Williams play. And Erik Hunter, I mean, shoot, man.
What can be said that hasn't already been said about E40, man?
Erik Hunter, man. If he could keep that weight on at 6'3", if he could get to 230, we were really having a different conversation.
You know what? Let me ask you this: are there any big linebackers that we need to look out for? Like Bubba Adams was 240. At least that's what he was listed at, right? Hunter 220. Williams 210. What do you say Hollon was? I think you said maybe he was 215.
Holland's 220. So I mean, the game is a little. Well, listen. I believe the way the game is now, a lot of teams are starting to put 2 tight ends on the field. So those little itty bitty linebackers, we might probably gonna go back to the the 2000s. You know what I mean? They probably gonna have to go back in time a little bit when it comes to these linebackers because he's tight. I mean, 2 tight ends, man, versus my 215-pound linebacker. I mean, the tight ends are huge. They're like the 6 offensive linemen for the most part.
And you look at Bell last, and I know he's a safety, but he played linebacker for the Cowboys last year. And you seen Jordan Love go on Micah Parsons' show and talk about how they knew he was there and were targeting him. Now, not to say that all linebackers in the NFL are 215, but I think you'll see something very similar for those guys who are a little bit lighter. Like, hey, we're just gonna put on some heavier personnel offensively, and we're gonna attack some of your lighter people in the box.
Yeah, it's fair. But I will say Hunter utilizes his length very well. He has very long arms. To run 400 meter, he's a gazelle. He can run. You know what I mean? So if that is a thing, if you want to run zone scheme against him, good luck because he's a runner. So if you want to stretch it out, he'll find you. Now, if you want to tag him head on, he does do a solid job, utilize his long arms to keep offensive linemen off him. But at the end of the day, he played at 215 last year. He was a little light, but I heard report and got some information. He's in the 220s. He's trying to keep it around there. He gets to 230. We're having a really good conversation about this young man. You know what I mean? But I just when you look at I don't know if you've seen him in person, But
I haven't seen him in person.
nah, the kid he look like an action figure. He's 6'3" and change. You know, he look like an action figure, man. He don't got no fat on his body. He's moving around. It's just abs everywhere. I'm like, dang, I ain't look nothing like this when I played. You know, but he's a guy. There's prototypes. You know, when you have a linebacker that's that tall, there's a team that be like, man, we could put 10 pounds of NFL strength and conditioning on him. We got something here. He could play special teams. You know, he used to play wide receiver, and he could cover. I mean, I've seen him cover. He moved out to the slot, the nickel, and he's, you know, got an interception and some man coverage. So it's sky's the limit for him. The only knock on him is his weight and just in place. So once he gets that together, we cooking with grease now.
Now, as we push forward, we're going to look at who has the advantage in the two positions that we looked at today, and then also kind of move around, have a little bit less centralized topics, talk about some quarterbacks, maybe some depth of position. Just depends on how much time we have, but I appreciate you rolling with me. My boy G, always been an expert, and we're going to knock it out. So let's keep going as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, and FanDuel is the official sports book of the Locked On Podcast Network. And listen, the playoffs are over, so sports stop sporting in the way that we all want them to. But don't worry, you still have the MLB, you still have the WNBA, you still have futures. Matter of fact, the draft to be over by the time you hear this. But I was going to say the NBA draft, but you have NBA futures, you have NFL futures, you have the MLB, you have the WNBA. There's still a lot of things to make money on. So the sports may not be sporting like they do in the fall, but you still can get active. Now, that being said, we understand that the opportunities may lessen for you. Well, FanDuel wants to make sure that you can still benefit. Instead of just being exclusive to new customers, now all customers, no matter new or old, can have a benefit. There is a boost, a benefit for you every single day, all summer long, for every single person. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/locked-on, whether it's MLB, WNBA, or NBA and NFL futures. Go to FanDuel.com/locked-on and make every moment more. As wrapping up today's episode of Locked On HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day, every day, making it all the way to segment 3. And I thank you 2 times for that. I got my boy Gerald Huggins with me. All right, I ain't going to say, we had a funny one before I came on. I said, nah, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave it alone. Because you remember what I said before we came on the show?
What?
When you first clicked on?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, hey.
I'm going to leave it alone. He said, hey, look, man. Don't ever say that again.
Nah, it's all good. All good. All good. We working. We're working really hard. A lot of hours. No sleep. All right.
Anyway, all right. So we've done running backs. We've done linebackers. Swag, Miak, who has the advantage in both?
Ooh, I didn't know you were gonna ask that. Oh man, dang. The advantage in the.
I think I know who has the advantage in running backs based off the list you said.
Running back. I mean, running back. I gotta let me just make sure because people gonna be clocking me. Yeah, it's looking like out of my out of my top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Come on, man. It's the Miak.
Out of my top 10, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. And I have 1, 2. Yeah, it's a Miak.
Yeah, I was say it's the Miak because I'm looking at the top 5.
Yeah, it's a Miak. Yeah, they edged them out. But and that's not even including. That's just the draft eligible guys. I didn't even include
Eden James.
Yeah, I mean, we put Eden. Yeah, it's not even.
Okay, so now linebacker. If that's too tight right now, because I don't think you've gone as in depth on that one.
We don't let it. It's a Miak.
Okay.
It's a Miak.
Yeah, we got to step it up, Swag. All right, now let's look at the quarterback play, man. So I'm gonna go in depth on this a little bit later. I don't know when. I got to do it at some point during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like there's no real returning quarterbacks. I feel like I can probably count the amount of returning quarterbacks who started last year
in the Miak. I will say in the MEAC, there are none. Well, there's one. Well, actually, apparently he hasn't been back on campus in a while. So I don't think,
The Morgan State kid?
No. Talking about, well, if you consider him a return and start, they had so many quarterbacks
They
last
did.
year.
I consider the freshman the returning starter.
Okay, fine. So if that's the case, then you have him, and we don't know what's going on with Otto down in Norfolk. So we're trying to figure it out. So we'll say yes, just one. But the SWAC at least has, I mean, I won't say returning starter, but we have guys that have reps. Crawley, Morgan.
I don't count Body.
Why not?
I count Body as like half because he left. He's going to a different school. I can understand why you would count Body.
He's in the SWAC.
I'm not gonna argue you on it, but I'm not gonna argue on it because I get it, right? Like I understand why you would count Body.
I know. I know why you don't want to count Body because you from Texas Southern.
Hey, I'm still trying to get the Eddie Robb interview. Let's not do it. Okay?
He stole y'all quarterback.
Hey, look. No, I count him as like half because like he's in a different system.
Nah, man, you gotta. He has the most reps on his belt than anybody else.
He 1,000% does. So okay, like I said, I'm on the fence. I count him as half. The same way I would have done Crawley the same way, right?
Okay, so y'all
I would have done Crawley the same way when he went from Bama State to Grambling.
So y'all have, let's see, Morgan, Crawley, Body, Langford, Wilson, and then y'all have Bodden.
Alabama A&M. I look at them the way you look at Morgan.
Langford, believe it or not, listen, he fits their scheme. Now, regardless how people feel about Xavier Langford, I can see him being a serviceable, solid FCS quarterback that could get his team to the where they need to go because he fits their system.
Okay, that gives you Grambling, Jackson State, Alabama A&M. Let's count Bama State. Let's count Bama State.
Texas Southern.
Oh yeah.
Y'all have Jace. And actually, Southern has Noah Bodden. He's coming back.
No, Noah Bodden does not count.
Why not?
Because he didn't, if I'm not mistaken, he didn't start to the last game of the year.
Man, he started football games at Grambling.
That do not that hold on. I don't think that counts.
He's a returning. Okay.
I don't count him. I did forget about Jace Wilson. I ain't gonna lie. I feel bad.
They about your QB1? Oh Lord.
I forgot because in my head, I had Body at Texas Southern. But like
that ship is long gone.
he wasn't there. So like in my head, Body left. So now TSU is missing their starting quarterback.
And just to put it out here, we're just talking about FCS, but we all know that, Zay Free is, the guy.
That boy is ill.
Zay Free is the guy. And you know what? I'm going to give Zay Free his flowers. And I want you to tag him and clip this off and tag him.
I got you.
This young man works extremely hard. Not only is he a really good football player for us, this kid he loves his community. He loves his hometown of Chester. He loves Lincoln. And let me tell you something. You don't get a lot of players that are actually good, that actually love their little D2 schools that want to stay here. It is a rare thing. It's a beauty. Because, what other schools got to worry about, man, where is this going to go? Because we know people hitting up Isaiah Freeman. Isaiah Freeman's still here. He's ready to turn this thing up. All right. He hits me up. It's a blessing to have a coach on your staff that scouts, by the way, just to put that out there. So, y'all might want to, just think about that. But he talks to me all the time. Hey, Coach G, what I need to work on? What should I do? I'm like, okay, listen, this is what my criteria is right here. This is how I scout all the quarterbacks I scout from the ACC all the way down. And we talk about it. And he said, Coach, I'm going to work on every single last thing. And he showed me videos. He's doing it. So you're going to get – this is going to be his best year. It's going to be his best year. We have a change a little offensive scheme. We have a new offensive coordinator. But he's going to figure it out because that's just what he does. And, I told him you don't got to be Superman. But when we need you to be, as what Coach McCray says, my defensive coordinator, put that cape on one. So I may not want to say he's the best quarterback in all HBCU football, but he's in the conversation to be up in the top 3 easily. Because, it's a different level of football. All what it is. Now, guess what he gets to get? Guess who he gets to play against this year?
Who y'all got on the schedule? Erik
Erik Hunter and Elijah Williams, baby. Morgan State. So if there's a game where my youngin wants to show that he's that dude,
That's
you
the
find
one.
a way. You find a way. Cause listen, they got two corners. Jesus.
Mhm.
Ooh, Karvansky. He got to bounce. He got to have another bounce back. We'll talk about DBs another show.
Yeah.
He's one of him and Bowler are my two. Y'all are super freaks. Pause. Y'all are super freak athletes. y'all are freak athletes, and I need y'all to showcase the ability to match the athleticism with the technique, and I need y'all to dominate. These two kids, I'm telling you, Carl Vansky and Kendall, those two can be so good. Like they have like the ceiling out of all the TVs I done coach. I'm coach. I don't know. I don't watch. Now you're great. I know we're not supposed to be talking about. I mean, God, I know we're not supposed to be talking.
You know what's funny is I don't even remember where we were going with the quarterback conversation. I don't. I know where I was going.
I don't know DB,
but I kind of don't care. I know where I was headed with that. But now you gotta join me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might have to get together and talk about that quarterback play for real. Because I'm going to do a state of the quarterback in HBCU football.
Oh, let me tell you something. Listen, call it what it is, man. We lost two quarterbacks that were at their school for a very long time and became some of the best players to play at their respective schools for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it, bro.
Say what they say about Musa. For 2 years, he did what he was supposed to do. You know what I mean? Granted, he has his ups and downs. I don't know where he's at right now when it comes to his professional career.
You don't know. People think I bet people, bro. I bet Rattler Nation think I hate Musa. They probably think I don't like Musa. Cause I could see why you would say that. If you have a vested interest in Jeremy Musa, you may think I don't like Jeremy Musa. But like,
don't get
I don't have no problem. I just think that, you know what my problem is? Everything that you think doesn't need to be said. That's
and that is a very
I say it, so it's like, bro, why'd you even say that? Like you didn't need to say it. You know what? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut. We'll be back someday to talk about quarterback play. This is pre-recorded well in advance. Thank you for this, getting Wisdom T taken out, so I don't have to record right after that. So I really do appreciate you for that, and I appreciate y'all for tuning in with me, Gerald. We're gonna do this again because we always go all over the place. But until the next time that we do, take care, stay blessed, peace.